Hello, everyone. This is Dawn, and this podcast is The Point, where we talk about all things wedding and wedding planning in the city of Pittsburgh and beyond. And my guest today is a friend and a colleague that I've been working with for years. His name is Thomas Barone of BS Pittsburgh DJs. Thomas, say hello to the Pittsburgh Brides community.
Hey, brides, we're so glad to be here. And Dawn, yeah, it's been great to work with you, over the years. And we can't wait to continue to work with you. And, yeah,
We've had some fun together.
yes,
We get
yes, some
party
great
started,
events.
right?
Yes, yeah, yeah.
So, we know that shopping for a DJ is a really personal thing. So I wanted to sit down with you and ask some questions that I think that brides might ask or grooms might ask of you to just get to know you a little bit better. And I want to start with what inspired you to become a wedding DJ or a DJ for that matter.
Yeah, so to be a wedding DJ, the reason why we chose it was I love music. So I was in band. I was a band geek from, third grade all the way till now. I still am in a community band. And I love listening to different music, different genres. And then I also love making people happy, right? So what
Yeah.
was the best thing you could do is a wedding. So, well, I decided, in college, we were having fun with all my college friends. We do stuff, on the side. And then eventually we decided, you know what? We did a wedding for someone who needed someone last minute a couple years ago. And then we decided, if we could do this last minute, if we do this prepared, how much better would it be? So that's how it inspired me to become a wedding DJ.
There's no better job in life than making people smile for a living.
No, especially on their wedding day. I mean, to them, we like to say it's their Super Bowl, right? Like
Yeah.
this is their day.
Yeah. Yeah, very well said. So the name of your business is BS Pittsburgh DJs. And when I first met you, I laughed at that, but what's the meaning behind the name?
So as we always say, our slogan is BS is in the name, not the service. That's the one thing. It gets a chuckle out of everyone. We
Yeah, I
really
like that.
Yeah, but the reason we came up with I own it with my best friend Luke, and so my last name is Barone, so the B, and then the S is for his last name Smith. So BS Pittsburgh DJs that's how we came up with the name, and it kind of stuck, right? We said it to my wife, and she was like, "Oh, that's kind of cool." And from there, we came up with that slogan, just sitting around at the table, like, "Hey, what about this?" And from there, it's taken on its own legs.
That's how the best brands are created, right? Just out of sheer serendipitous moments like that. And all right, so I know that you've done hundreds of weddings, Tom. Tell me, how do you keep each one unique and personalized to the couples that you're doing weddings for? What is that mindset? What is that process?
That's a great question, Don. So how do we keep every event, when you do so many events, special? And I think that's getting to know the couple. So what we do at BS Pittsburgh is when people inquire us, we always ask them to sit down with us, whether it's a virtual meeting or in-person meeting. And what that allows us to do is get to really know. So Luke and I will be taking notes on everything that they talk about the first meeting. And then depending on how far away the wedding is, we always ask them to at least meet one time about 2 weeks prior to their wedding. And then we take notes again. And then from there, Luke and I are sitting down and comparing the notes from the first time we met them and the second time we met them. What changed? What stayed the same? So what stays the same usually is what we're going to say, all right, this is probably their core values and what they really want to happen in their wedding. And then from there, we also ask them questions after that. So if we're having questions, we always ask, hey, can we just jump on with you? Can we get a phone call to really have communication? I think, being in the wedding service, it's all about communication and getting to know them. The better the communication you have between your vendors, the better your event's going to go.
Absolutely, especially the person that is the point of organizing pretty much every element of the wedding live as it unfolds. And
Yeah,
that's
and
what you do.
I think people don't realize that. A lot of people, I think when they're picking a DJ, they're like, oh, it's all about the music, but you don't realize as soon as the food is served, and even before that, the DJ is basically in charge of that wedding, right? They're gonna control the pace. They're keeping the timeline.
Dad, we need dad to line up. Dad, where'd you go? Mom.
Yeah.
You're finding people, you're getting them lined up, you're getting them ready to go, you're answering questions. I got a cell phone here. Somebody left it on my table. Answering for the timeline, working, and you're also working, you know, in tandem with the wedding planner, the venue, the officiant, all of those people. And you're the person that's keeping it all the glue together to make it work.
Yeah. Yeah, no, and it's all about working as a team. I know some vendors maybe don't work as good as a team, but that's one thing we really employ is like, we all bring strengths to whether it's the photographer, they have strengths, the venue, the coordinator, the photo booths, we all have strengths. Let's use them all together. I don't know everything. And so if we can all use the strengths of each other, that's the best.
Hey, I'm still learning. I'm still surprised when I do weddings that I'm like, ooh, that's a new thing. Like you continue to learn because the industry continues to evolve.
Yeah.
Things continue to change. You're going to see new things, new variations of things. One of the things I love most about the 2025 brides, this Generation Z bride, is that they are the first generation in 100 years that have claimed their space and said, I want my wedding my way. With all due respect, mom, dad, tradition, like I really want donuts, not a cake. I want to wear a red dress. I want, whatever crazy idea that they have, that they want removable tattoos at their wedding. Like they are not afraid to speak up and say, this is what I want. And tradition, while they still want to be respectful of their family, they value this experience with themselves and their fiance and say, I want it to be about us. And I love that.
No, exactly. I mean, who would have thought even 5, 10 years ago that there's some weddings, they're doing actual tattoos, like the mini tattoos. I'm like, who would have thought that 5, 10 years ago that you'd be getting tattoos at your friend's wedding?
Yeah. And 30 years ago, you couldn't even wear black to a wedding. It was taboo as a guest, let alone the bride rocking a black dress.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it's great. They make it their own. And I think that's what's making it so special, all the events.
Yeah. And it makes it fun for us too, because we go to work and we're like, ooh, this is something new I haven't seen before.
Yeah.
It's not like the same just add water and repeat wedding every week, right? I love that. It makes our job so exciting. And so tell me a little bit about how you control, and this is more of a dance DJ thing, but every DJ has like their secret sauce. And what's your strategy when the dance floor is slow to warm up? And how do you read the room and shift that energy? Like, do you have like some go-to songs? What do you do that makes the magic work?
Yeah. So I think it all starts off in dinner and in cocktail hour. So one thing Luke and I are doing, so typically we DJ a wedding. We always have either me or Luke or both of us there. And then we will sometimes bring another assistant in. But what we're doing during those hours is we're watching the crowd. So we're playing different songs through all that. And we're saying, hey, that crowd over there, they're really, grooving to that country song. That crowd over there, we played a 90s song, they're going. So it all starts kind of, during dinner. All right, this crowd's doing that. And then we also look for the high energy people. I know, Dawn, you know people when they come into the photo booth, this person has high energy, right? Yeah. This is a person we can really tap into. And we're looking at those people. And from there, we kind of then we'll choose the songs to what to start with. But every wedding, it's all about the crowd. Sometimes it does start slow. And we always have what we call wedding bangers, right? There's always those songs, Whitney Houston, like you got to group to it, right? There's just
somebody.
Yeah. And so if we have to hit those wedding bangers early on, we do, and we kind of get the crowd excited. But sometimes it's also, the environment. I know if it's dark, more people are dancing, right? Like, that's sometimes a nice thing about being in like a barn or something is it's really dark and cozy.
And so, are there any songs that you're tired of hearing? I just have to ask that question.
There's songs that are, September, how many times can you hear September?
Right.
It's a classic. So, we play it because everyone expects it. But it's you hear it every weekend. Eventually you're like, all right.
It could be worse. It could be the chicken dance.
Yeah. Luckily that is not in style anymore. Right.
Right. But yeah, you were so right about that. Those, you know, I'm going to say signature songs that just, it's universal. Everybody gets it. It does. It's funny that that song from Whitney Houston is back in the 80s. It's 50 years old at this point, but it still connects with the crowd the way that it does.
Yeah, and I think the older music really does it. I think that's really what you tap into to get people excited because that's what they grew up on. eh, and some of the new music, you got a wide variety of people at a wedding,
Yeah.
right? Like you have grandmas all the way up to kids, like,
Yeah.
yeah.
And you want to be able to accommodate all of those, and that's why that's such a great strategy that you have of kind of reading the room during dinner and see who's vibing on what. Like that's what a talented DJ does. Like it's not just about knowing the songs and knowing the tech part of it. It's the people skills and being able to be observant, and you have to have that sixth sense about what's going on around you in order to be a successful DJ. All right, let's go. Another question for you. Have you ever had a couple give you a playlist that just wouldn't work with a crowd? How did you handle that? Music choices that maybe don't resonate with the crowd. Obviously, it's their wedding, so you want to accommodate them. I was just at a wedding where they did not have a DJ. They had a string quartet playing music from the 80s, 90s, and current. And it was amazing. Like, so there's something for everyone out there, right? But do you ever have couples that come to you and the playlist, you're like, ooh, this is really dry. How do you blend what their vision is and make it work with reading the room?
Yeah. So, it happens a lot of time, right? Like the bride and groom, they really love like heavy metal or they really love Christian rock. And it's like, okay, you know, we always have the conversation with them. Is this your style of music that you like, or is this what the majority of your people like? And it's all about having that open conversation prior. Like, and we also have a talk with them. Do you want us to act like, is it about hitting, these songs, or is it about making people dance? Where do you want us to vibe in that? But yeah, there's definitely times where the bride and groom are like, "This is what we want to listen to," and we make it work.
Yeah.
And what we do is, we take artistic liberties, and Luke and I will slide in stuff that we know that's going to work, kind of get people excited to dancing. And usually by that like first hour, second hour, they're dancing. You can start sliding in those songs that the bride and groom really want that maybe don't work because either maybe they have some libations in them where they're feeling good about themselves, or you're just in that mood of dancing, and that's how we really try to guide it in. But ultimately, there's like we had one a couple couples that wanted like we wanted indie rock, and indie rock is very it's independent rock, right? So
Right.
people listen to one artist but not the other, and we just do whatever they want ultimately, and we have that conversation up front, like this is your wedding, how do you want it to go? So yeah.
And that's when couples are looking to book a DJ, they should take that into consideration because you want to hire people that are better at what they do than you are. President Kennedy's famous quote, surround yourself with people that are better at what they do than you are, and you will have great success in life. And if you want a successful wedding, make sure that the people that you're hiring have that skill set, that they have that knowledge and that background, and they do understand how to read the room and kind of encompass the experience for what the couple's desires are, but also to facilitate the needs of the guests that are there. And you just hit the mark on that perfectly.
Yeah, Dawn, and I would also put the advice out for our couples. Ask your DJ, if you have something maybe that you really like, certain music you really like, and you're like, oh, I know half my crowd doesn't like it. Ask them what they would do about it, and ask them before you even book with them, so you get an honest, answer.
Conversation, communication, another key to success whenever you're booking any vendor. And I can't underscore that one enough with everything. I don't know. You said you'd watched the podcast last night, but I keep reminding our couples, I was like, vet your vendors. It's really important. Don't just click and buy and pay and send them cash up money. A great way. And I know that you probably have this available to you, but have a couple people that you did weddings for this year that you have their emails and that they've agreed that they'll offer feedback on you. That is the best resource that any couple can get as far as getting an accurate picture of your services for their wedding. You can read reviews all day long. You can Google, you can do all those things. But a couple that had an amazing wedding recently this year is going to give you the most raw feedback that you can get.
No, yeah, without a doubt, we always ask our bride and grooms, can we use your conversation? If someone wants, a reference, can we use you? And most bride and grooms, when you do a great job for them, they're more than glad to help you out with that.
It's hard not to do a great job at a wedding, right? All you got to do is make people smile.
Yeah, and if you come prepared, it's even easier.
Yeah.
That's the key, being prepared.
And you're one of those over prepared people like Boy Scout, right? I know this.
Yes, yes. I think, I remember the first time we were talking, Dawn, I talked about how we bring so many backups, and Luke and I plan for something to go wrong. Like, we'll have sessions in our garage. Like, hey, what happens if this goes down? How are we going to be able to do this smoothly without? And I think that's the key to it, because something's going to break, right?
Right.
In your career, no DJ, no professional is ever going to say everything went perfect, nothing broke on me, right? So yeah, we bring at least 2 to 3 laptops. We bring double the amount of speakers, and it's all about being prepared, right?
So smart. That's good business. You were prepared for anything. Josh and I did a wedding at the Priory in January, and it was when that big ice storm came through, right? And all of a sudden, the Priory, such a gorgeous venue, power goes out. But we bring a battery for our photo booth service because we don't like to tape any wires or anything. We aesthetically like that it's clean. And like everybody's like, doesn't know what to do. And we're like, photo booth is open.
Yeah.
And everybody was coming over enjoying the photo booth, and the power was back on in like 20 minutes. But it was just, I felt really good in that moment. I was like, man, we can handle anything, even a power outage. And like when you're dealing with technology, and we do the same thing, extra wires, extra laptop, you have to have that. You have to think, you have to not plan for what will go right, but what will go wrong. And a good business owner does that.
Right, right. And it happens everywhere. Like, I know if you're at Phipps, right? Sometimes if there's thunder and lightning at Phipps, they make you go inside. Right. So like sometimes, when we're going to Phipps, we make sure we have a battery speaker just to play some music. I know we're not going to be doing dancing with all the flowers, but just to keep the vibe going.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that answer. It just shows how professional you are. All right, so this is a good one. You've worked all over Pittsburgh region. How do you adapt and set up your sound approach for different venues and grand ballrooms and rustic barns? I'm sure you're familiar with many of them because you've been in business for quite some time. But, there is sound variance when we go to different acousticals in different places. Again, does that come back to the belts and suspenders theory?
Yeah. I mean, Luke and I, when we load the trailer, we load everything we think we're going to need plus more. So it's also getting there early. Like Luke and I, we will minimally get there at least 2 hours early just to have everything set up. We like to be set up an hour before anything's going to happen. So we can run through, okay, how are the acoustics going? Do we need to tweak the bass? Do we need to tweak this? Do we need to turn the speakers? It's all about, just getting there and feeling vibe. Some days you're at an event and, humidity, you don't realize can change some things,
Yeah.
So just the environment, Yeah. So it's all about being there, being prepared, being over prepared. Is the key. Yeah.
I tell my couples, you're not looking for somebody who's going to show up on your wedding day. You're looking for somebody that's going to over deliver. You want people that go the extra mile.
Yeah. I was at a coworker's wedding about 4 years ago, and I got there early just because I was a band geek. So if you're late, you're on time. And I'm like, how is the DJ not here with 30 minutes to go? And like the DJ comes running in, puts his stuff down, and I'm like, oh my gosh, how are you not set up? What if something goes wrong? And what do you know? During introductions, he lost power.
Yeah. And the thing is, when people book us, you're like, oh, we're booking you for 4 hours, and for the DJ, maybe it's 6, 7 hours. And they think that they're just booking you for that time. They don't really understand that it's all the time that you spent prior to logistically meeting with them, sitting down, talking with them, all the emails that you have involved in it. And then the day of, and I've had this conversation before where, we're loading the truck, packing everything probably the night before, loading the truck and driving out of here somewhere around noon. And we don't get home till like midnight or 1 o'clock in the morning. And I know it's the same for you. And people don't really have a full perspective on that.
Yeah, no, you're exactly right. Everyone thinks it's the 6 to 4 hours, how long you're in front of everyone. But really, it's probably double to 3, 4 times that
Right.
behind it, right? If you're doing it the right way.
When you're booking a DJ, you're taking his entire day.
Right. And you shouldn't feel like the DJ squeezing you in either, right? Like it should be like, this is your day. We're here to make it special. I know when we get on the call, it's like, what time do you want us to be there? Do you want us to, if you want us there even out earlier than 2 hours, Luke and I make it work.
Yeah. No, that's good customer service. Multicultural weddings. Have you done any of those? And, tell me a little bit about that.
Yeah. So I think it was this year or last year, we did one. It was a girl from Azerbaijan. And, so we had to really learn the culture. So what we did is we sat down, talked to her, and then we said, do any of your bridesmaids or maybe parents, can we talk to them? So we got multiple perspective. And then that was our first meeting. And then from there, we started researching. So we researched everything on our own. And then we had another conversation with her. Is this how you see it as this, that, and made sure we were on the same page. And it's really about researching, right? Everyone has traditions and it's our goal at BS Pittsburgh is to try to make the traditions as special as we can.
Yeah, such a good answer. And because Pittsburgh's a diverse community.
It is. Yeah. If you think about it, when our ancestors came, right? There was the Polish section, the Italian section, the German section, right? It's so I guess it's so rich in tradition.
All right, here is a good question for you. In your opinion, what is the one thing that couples may overlook that can make or break the experience of the reception for guests?
It's a great question. So I guess for experience of guests, my opinion is there's 3 things that everyone at a wedding talk about, right? Was the food good? Did you get enough food?
Yeah.
Were there enough drinks? Did you run out of drinks? And was the music good, right? So if you can hit those 3, everything else is like, sugar on top, right? It's making it even more memorable. But yeah, you got to make sure the food is good. Make sure you're doing taste testing, get that food down pat. Make sure there's definitely enough alcohol. If you run out of alcohol, that'll be the talk for 50 years. And then also, and then make sure the music's good, right? Have a good communication with your DJ and make sure they're going to hit the music that you really want.
Yeah, and I can't underscore the experience enough. It's such a big part of our culture right now. And everybody, the gamers, everybody wants to have an 8-second attention span. We want to be occupied. We want to be happy. We want that content. And you want people coming home from your wedding going, oh my God, that meal was crazy. That cookie table was insane. The DJ killed it. And you want them to have that energy when they leave and they're texting you in the morning saying, what a badass wedding that was. You nailed it if you hit that mark. And that all comes onto the experience. Yes, it's your day. And yes, we are celebrating the couple, right? And that's the ceremonial part and the introduction and everything. But once you bring the guest and the crowd into it, it is so important to keep the energy elevated and different things coming at them that they can absorb and enjoy.
Yeah, and giving them something to take home. I know back in the day, right, we always had favors, but I know even like having your photo booth there, right, that digital footprint so they can upload onto their social media, that brings a lot to the guests too, right? It makes them come back every year. Oh, remember when we had, Jill and Tom's wedding, right? That was so great. You remember this? Yeah.
And I know that respectfully that we have photo booth, but I know you also have a photo booth as an add-on with your service as well, where they can bundle and save a little bit of money, correct?
Yes. Yeah. We have a photo booth. It's not as sleek as yours. I mean, you have the latest and greatest stuff, but yeah, we definitely have a photo booth to make it, all one company to try to make it easy. Yeah.
My camper photo booth is like dope. You haven't seen that one yet.
No, I haven't seen that one, but I've seen a bunch of them, the mirror one. And then what is the one called Roxy? Is that what you call the one?
We have Emmy, Eva, Sophie, and Belle. Belle is the camper. And because we're girls that run the office, we give them all girls' names.
Yeah.
That's just our thing. But the mirror is Emmy. And I'm going to be at a wedding with you soon, Morgan's wedding.
Oh, okay. Awesome. Yeah.
You met her at the Sip and Shop.
Yes. She's been great to work with.
I just had a conference call with her this week and she's all excited because I was asking her who's your vendors? Who am I working with? And she's like, oh yeah, BS. I met them at the sip and shop. I was like, yay, that makes me so happy.
Yeah. No, it was great to be introduced at the sip and shop. That was great to have. And it's such a small world is she's actually friends with my brother's fiance's family. So it's just a small world, how everything's brought together.
And that's what this community is all about, right? Like that's the whole purpose of my starting Pittsburgh Brides is I wanted to connect the couples. I wanted to bridge that gap between the couples that are engaged in the community so that we can assist and help each other. And, on the pretense that every bride has a different budget.
Right.
Some brides are doing a $3,000 backyard barbecue or, a $20,000 wedding at a fire hall or, going into 50,000, 100,000. I've seen a couple weddings that are in the $500,000 range and everything in between. And they all want their day to be special and they all can have a special day and they can find good quality vendors at all price points. You just have to ask the right questions. You have to do a little FaceTime, with the people that you're interviewing, because I know DJs are like all over the place on pricing.
Yeah.
I've seen crazy in my opinion, but it's my opinion, $4,000, $5,000. I don't know. Maybe, that's for a higher end wedding. But I've also seen, lower price points, starting at about $1,000. What do you think of that? What is like the average right now for your average reception, say from 5 to 10, a 6 hour service? And again, it's disrespectful to say 6 hours because you're there all day, but
Right.
talk to
Yeah.
me a little bit about price.
So for us, I would say our average price is around 15 to 1600. Granted, we do have lesser packages, but people typically try to fit into that 15 to $1,600 package that we have. But we also have packages that go up to $3,000, but
Yeah.
that's a photo booth. That's
Right.
us doing your ceremony. That's us doing up lighting and everything, right? So you can go, we try to give all range, right? Whatever you need.
Can we talk a little bit about uplighting?
Yeah.
What does that do for the dynamic of a wedding?
Oh, it changes. You wouldn't believe what it does to rooms, right? Like, you could be in a room with all white walls. You put up lighting, and it just elevates. It just elevates the event, right? It just makes it feel special. And it really, if there's some cool things, like if you're ever at the art room, like you can highlight their walls. Like I think it's so cool being in like
Yeah.
a live brick wall, right? And uplighting that,
Yeah.
it makes it so nice.
Yeah, no, I agree. Uplighting can make any location look fabulous. You could be in a fire hall banquet room from the 70s and bring it to life with the correct lighting, and you add in some florals and some linens, and it can dynamically change the aesthetic of the room. And a good DJ can assist you with that. Do you do any kind of monogramming or anything like that? Have you?
Yeah, so we do have monogramming. That's not as popular as it used to be. I think it's slowly coming back, but we do have monograms. We can put your initials or your date, on the wall or on the dance floor if people would like.
Okay. And so circling back to that, any trends that you see for this year? Are there any new hot songs for the couples?
I mean, Pink Pony Club is still what couples are like. That's the song. Chapel Roan. She's still big with them.
Okay.
That's a song. But in terms of tradition, I think just the economy we're in. I think that's kind of driving the tradition of people who are kind of, at least in my opinion, trying to scale back a little. At least that's what I've seen. I don't know,
Yeah.
about everyone else in the wedding venue, but it just seems like people are really like, we want to have a good wedding, but we don't need all the everything, right?
Yeah. No, I see that. You can feel it in the air.
Yeah.
You can feel it. I've actually had a couple brides, over the last 90 days contact me and they booked a higher package and they came back and they said, can we drop that down? Can we have a lower package? And I'm like, of course. Like I'm not going to hold someone to, something that's a 25 or $1,000 difference, if they can't afford it. And I've seen a couple of those, which is the first time that I can ever say that I've had someone come back and say that. And that's a true test to the economy and what's happening.
No, we've had that too, right? People really want the package, and then come 2 weeks before, we're like, hey, this and this happened. And Luke and I are all about like, we're not here to get rich, right? We want to bring the best to your wedding. And if that's what you want to, maybe instead of getting the photo booth, we don't bring the photo booth. Yeah. We're all about like making it work for you, even if it's, a day before.
Yeah, because we have to be fluid. We're like water.
Right, right. And I truly believe, and I don't want to speak for you, Dawn, but being word of mouth is the best. It just makes you feel so good, right? Like, oh my gosh, you did my friend's wedding, or you did my friend's event. This is why, we chose you, right? And that's how, you've done a great job.
It's the good stuff. Whatever you do for a living, you have to have a passion for it. Passion for involvement, and I've known that since I was 22 years old. And it's the thing that gets you up in the morning. You're excited about what you do. And it's the last thing you think about before you go to sleep at night. And, doing someone's wedding and being a part of their, story, the beginning of their story, and making it special and making it perfect. I like to do little things for our couples that they don't know that we're doing, something special. It could be something like I'm adding in a memory box where they can have their guests write a little note and clip it to their photos and put it in this beautiful box that we made, or we'll create a special animation for the mirror with pictures that they sent us, or, but when they send an acknowledgement back to us, like in a review, and, or better yet, they send a card in the mail and I get a card randomly. And it's like, you were such a huge part of our day. Everybody loved it. They loved the experience. It just makes me feel just so amazing inside. And I think it's the passion and the fire and the fuel that we get that makes us all excited for the next wedding, that we can do that for somebody else, that we have the skill set to do that. And it's beyond money at that point. Money is, yeah, it's how we pay the bills, but it's that internal satisfaction that soothes our soul and gives us comfort that we found a place in the world that we can be of benefit to the community.
No, that's exactly right. That's how we feel. That's my philosophy. That's Luke's philosophy is what can we do is if there's something we can do to make their event better, we'll do it. We'll bring it, even if, it's maybe not something they expected, but maybe we had conversations they really wanted. Maybe there's some times we slide in, the lighting when someone's like, oh, I really wanted the lighting, but it doesn't work. You know what? And Luke and I we'll after we have a conversation, hey, we're going to bring that lighting for them. They're a great couple. Yeah.
Yeah. No, 100%. And I love being surrounded by people like you. I'm so glad that you're a part of our community and on Pittsburgh Brides, and that you made time to be on this podcast with me. If they want to reach you, they can obviously reach you on pittsburghbrides.com. You're in our Facebook group as well. Let's tell the folks watching how they can get in contact with you. I know that you're on pittsburghbrides.com and in our group, but how else can they reach out to you?
Yeah, I mean, you can always look up our Facebook or Instagram, BS Pittsburgh DJs. You can also go to our website, bspittsburghdjs.com. You can even, if I can give them my number, you can call or text 412-881-2867. We're out there, so we're not hard to get a hold of. So just message us, and we'll try to get back as quickly as we can.
And before we close this out, I'm going to ask, what is your favorite new trend that you're seeing in weddings, or the trend that you're seeing go away, that you're happy that it's going away?
No, my favorite new trend is actually we've had this a lot happen, and instead of doing a bouquet toss, they're dedicating the bouquet to like their mother or someone like a special person, and it's so nice because the moms never expect it, and then just to see the tears of like because I mean moms are doing a lot in the background for weddings, right? And so for them to get that moment, it's just great.
Yeah, no, and I have to agree with you on that. I haven't experienced that personally, but I did see that, and I was like, because the moms don't really have a special place in the wedding as far as like walking somebody down the aisle or anything like that. So, like the father does, or the first dance traditionally with the bride, or any of those things. And so it makes me really happy to hear that that's a new trend that you see that you love. And with that, I'm going to bid goodbye. I think that we have had a great interview today. Thomas, thank you for your time. Say hello to Luke and your little baby. Give her a kiss for me. Congratulations on the little one.
You.
You are so welcome. Thanks so much, everyone. This is Dawn from The Point signing off. Until the next time, if you enjoyed this video, be sure to give us a thumbs up, leave a comment in the thread if you have any questions about the podcast today, and subscribe, and we'll see you next time. Bye.